It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
A fine Saturday matinee to you, Steve Sarmento.
Good morning, Pete. How are you on this, somewhat cloudy day here in Phoenix, Arizona?
Clouds in Phoenix?
Yeah, it must be.
Steve, what do you do on days like that? What do you do?
You get outside and enjoy it, although we're supposed to have like record heat this weekend again, still in the triple digits out here. So, yeah. So you go see the movie. You go in the theater. You see the movies.
You go to the movies.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't know what's out there.
We've in terms of announcements, we've got Predator. We're doing the Predator on the film board tonight. We are recording that.
Yes.
So if you want to join in the live stream, you can do that. We'd love to have folks listen along, or I'll drop it in the Patreon feed in the next day or so before it goes live on Tuesday. Have you seen it yet?
Oh yeah. Saw it last night. Got out and saw it last night because I had get up early this morning to talk to you about stuff and then other things, and I thought I'm not going to try and cram it in on Saturday afternoon, so went out and saw it last night. So we'll talk about that later today.
I'm actually part of a D&D group. You can believe it or not. Believe that or not. With actually JJ is also
man, see,
part of it.
I need to get out there because I listened to Imaginary Worlds and he just did an episode on D&D that he's been a part of a game for like 3 years, and it's just it makes me want to be part of a group so bad. I was in college, and I need to just fly up there every other weekend to D&D with you guys.
It is alarmingly fun, and our DM is exceptionally talented and truly burying himself in the part. And last night there was a trial. There was like a mob trial, and it was hysterical. It was just hysterical. That is a wildly underrated and underappreciated by the masses game. In terms of folks who like those in really substantial board games experiences, tabletop gaming. Oh yeah. I think D&D it's making a comeback, man. It's making a comeback.
It is. I think it's greatly misunderstood, and I think when people play it the first time, one of the, I guess, great revelations they have is that you can just do anything. You how do you make something happen? You just say it. And
that's right.
In college, in our group, my wife, we were dating at the time, and she had never played before, and so it's a bunch of us guys and her, and we've played games before, so she's just doing stuff, and we're looking at the DM like, what? And he's like, yeah, why not? Completely out of the box thinking, just like, yeah, you can do that. We're like, well, wait a second, you're not supposed to be. There are no rules. You say it, you roll some dice, and it happens or it doesn't.
Well, and I don't know about you, but I was I think I was part of the generation that should have really enjoyed D&D as a kid, and I started playing D&D, and then computer games came out.
Yes.
And I switched. I moved from D&D straight to the Bard's Tale, which was on my Apple II, and I played through all of those games. I spent hours and hours and hours, hundreds of hours playing games like that, and so I, by all rights, I should have been deeply into D&D, and had it been 2 years earlier, I probably would have been. So this is kind of my first experience as an adult, and my wife is doing it with me, and she was a hard sell. Oh, she wasn't a hard sell. That's unfair. She did it for me, but last night we're sitting there playing. We've been playing for 6 months or so, and we don't play that often. We'll play for 4 or 5 hours once a month.
Okay,
that's a good amount. She comes in, she starts rattling off spells that she needs to pray for the night before, and that I have never heard. Like, she has actually been studying on her own. Of her own accord, the spells that she needs to learn. And I feel like our marriage took a turn last night as a result of this.
Is she a competitive gamer? Would you say she's highly competitive when it comes to family tabletop games?
Not, I mean, she's got a serious competitive streak, but she's an athlete, and at her core, she's, she likes to win things.
Yeah, okay.
But she's not one of those who will upend a table if she doesn't.
No. But she will strategically do what she can to make sure things go in her favor. Oh yeah.
Blood relations tend to go out the window.
That's right.
When she's playing.
That's right.
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter that you're my youngest child and that this will scar you.
Exactly.
I am going to destroy you.
Yes, we'll rebuild after.
Okay.
We have any news to talk about? I only have one that I'm kind of excited about.
Is it Apple related?
It's not. Mine isn't. I know you're going to troll me by your
I'm not
by your Apple news.
No, I'm not trolling you. I'm trolling people that don't understand.
Yes, you're teaching the world.
I'm teaching the world.
That is your mantle, your responsibility.
That's right. You don't own anything. And I guess this was came to my attention. Somebody posted or shared this, and it's a gentleman from Canada that posted a tweet that he was all upset and bent out of shape because Apple deleted a movie that he had purchased from his library, and apparently the rights changed and it was no longer available, so it was deleted. And they basically said, here's some credits for renting a movie, and he's all bent out of shape. And the whole way Apple handled it in customer service maybe could have been better, I don't know, but it gets this, idea of when you purchase digital content, and not even digital content, because when you buy a movie on Blu-ray or DVD, you don't really own that. People don't understand you're buying a license to watch it in that format. And so when they take it out of the library on iTunes, it's gone. And
now, my understanding on those Blu-ray devices is that they do phone home in some capacity, right? I mean, is that not true? So when you put a Blu-ray in, like if I put a Blu-ray into my Xbox, it phones home for content licensing, right?
I believe that's how that works.
Yeah. I believe that's true, and I think there are Blu-rays that there are standalone Blu-ray players that aren't attached to the network. But at some point, you put a Blu-ray in. It is. I'm just saying, is it possible for somebody to deactivate or prevent my Blu-ray from playing? I know that if I don't have the right kind of direct connection between my Blu-ray device and my television, it will say you're not going to play this because it's because of the copy protection. Sometimes you'll put it in, you can't even see it. Is that not the same kind of a relationship? And I to your point, doesn't that just demonstrate the same thing, that we don't own our content? We use it at the will of the copyright holder.
Yeah, exactly. And you to say you own something, I have still in a box somewhere some VHS tapes, and it's like, well, if I don't have the ability to play them because now the mechanism for me to access that content no longer exists. There's you could maybe head out to Goodwill or something and pick up a VCR if you can find one. But I remember in the transition from VHS to DVD, I had a conversation with a friend about this, and I was explaining, he was upset that I'm gonna have to, buy my movies again. He's like, this seems like it's just a money making scheme. And then we started talking about the licensing thing. He's like, well, if I buy a license, when I buy it on VHS, can't I just upgrade my license? And I'm like, well, yeah, basically that's what you're doing for, whatever, 17
for a fee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's like, well, but shouldn't it just be a couple dollars? And I said, well, I think the way they get around that is if you look at what's on your VHS copy and you look at all the other bonus features, you're licensing in a completely different version of content. It's got all this extra stuff. You've got commentary and bonus scenes and all that. So I said, legally, I think they can get around it that way, that it's not licensing the exact same thing. It's entirely different collection of content.
Sure.
And the idea that, you're paying to access this stuff. I think we're gonna see more and more of these. I remember when Kindle first came out, there was a gentleman that had bought a book through Amazon on his Kindle, and it was in the early days. It was in the Wild West of Kindle, and someone had uploaded a copy. I think it was some type of classic piece of literature, and whoever had put it up there for sale didn't actually own the rights to be selling it. So when Amazon found out, they pulled it down, and he went to his Kindle and he had been using this book for a class and had all these notes, and he went in and his notes were there, but the text was no longer there. And he was all, like upset. Like, I bought this book. And they're like, well, we had to basically take it back because that person legally didn't have the right to sell that to you. It's like selling stolen goods, basically. So it's going to be reclaimed. Again, it's I think the transition from buying physical versions of things and digital versions, there's still a big learning curve for the general public on what it is you're actually buying. And until we sort of all get on board, or maybe there's a little bit more transparency in what you're actually buying.
I think that's right. But I also think that there's a lot to learn on behalf of the purveyors of those goods. And I don't remember how the Amazon thing worked out, but, just saying that here's a refund, or here are a couple of rental credits, as they did in the Canadian iTunes kerfuffle, it's not enough when you're upset that someone just stole your stuff.
Yes.
If someone comes and steals my bike and somebody allows me to rent an e-scooter for a couple of hours, it's not the same thing. And that's frustrating. And that's the part that I think is almost more frustrating than having it taken in the first place, is how these companies are reacting when it comes time to actually make good on the fact that they didn't have the license to sell the goods in the first place,
yes,
or they don't have the license anymore. So, and on behalf of the people who are making the decisions about what movies go in and out of the catalog, right? Can you imagine Disney coming along to all of those previous iTunes movie purchasers of Marvel and Disney movies and say, you know what, we've decided every movie that you have that you, quote, purchased in your iTunes library, we're going to put back in the Disney vault. Surprise! Right? That would be terrible. Somebody in that company has heretofore made the smart decision not to return those movies to the vault, but they could. Some idiot could step into that role and decide they're going to do that. And they need to make those decisions in a consumer friendly way, and that's one of the things that I think these smaller publishing houses maybe are not doing yet, and that's frustrating.
Oh yeah, and when it comes to availability of content, John August started a little project this summer about not being able to find movies, and it started with not being able to find a copy streaming or digitally of the 1984 film The Flamingo Kid with Matt Dillon. And you couldn't find it to stream, rent, or purchase online, and it just started compiling a list. And now a lot of his listeners on his podcast, and I guess they're compiling this huge database of several thousand movies that are just not available. I guess somebody put a list together. They went back to 1999, and I guess it's not thousands, of a group of about 4,000 titles. About 120 can't be streamed, rented, or purchased digitally. So it's just it was in theaters. It may have been briefly available on disc or whatever, but now it's gone and you can't find it. And at least with digital media, you can sometimes find it through, like secondhand, sales. I have a copy of DVD of one of my favorite comedies from the late 90s, Drop Dead Gorgeous, which is this sort of, comedic documentary style thing about a beauty pageant. And I think it's in Minnesota, and it's got like Ellen Barkin and Kirstie Alley and Denise Richards. And it's hilarious, but it's out of print on DVD. You can't buy new copies. It's not out there. So you have to find a used one. I don't believe it's available on streaming. And so we're going to have a generation of lost films out there, because there's nobody really curating or managing the rights on these things. And you'll have people that worked on projects, it was out there briefly, and then they just disappear. They're gone.
Well, and it's unfortunate because we have such really effective distribution mechanisms now. Like, we need to come to terms with this back catalog. I mean, it takes me back to the days before, VHS, when you go to a movie and you really have to ready yourself for the fact that as you sit down in the theater, this may be the only time in your life you're ever going to see this movie, because there was no expectation of a rental market. That didn't exist.
That's true.
Maybe, I've got some reel-to-reels of, some old cartoons, but it was a hard thing to do, and so some of these movies, these cherished, wonderful movies, we have the tools to do this if we can have the content creators and the rights holders make some smart decisions about making them happen. It's an expensive process. I know there is an expense to it, but it's not. It's not like you have to release a director's cut of every movie. Just put it out there. So anyhow. I just have one note, which is Purvis and Wade reportedly are back on Bond 25, and the language they're using post Danny Boyle's replacement is they're back to rescue it.
I had briefly sort of seen that come across my newsfeed. I didn't dig deep into it, but I don't know what to do with Bond with that franchise. I think that it was the Daniel Craig sort of relaunch of that got me very excited, and it's feeling like it needs to be reinvented again. So perhaps this is what it's going to take to do that again. I think what audiences are looking for has changed, and Bond is a character, and we'll see how he ages into the 21st century as a character. But I hope they're able to rescue it. I am glad that that's, I guess, the terminology being used, that there's a sense of this was going in the wrong direction. We can turn this around and save it.
Yeah, I worry a little bit that we're saving it from what? I mean, it was Danny Boyle. I think we were excited about him too, weren't we? I was.
Oh, yes. I think that would have been interesting, but Danny Boyle's he's hit or miss for me lately. So,
well, I think it's exciting to have these guys back on. I'm on the record. These Daniel Craig Bonds are my favorite Bonds, and he is my favorite Bond, and I stand by that. And so, before you start talking again, I'll say we should probably do trailers.
We should do trailers.
Did you see what I did there? I changed the subject dramatically and quickly.
You changed it dramatically and shut me down.
I did. I shut you down. I don't even know what your perspective is.
Shut up. Doesn't matter. Trailer.
I want to hear it. La 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 hee hee.
Okay. So, all right. Did you decide? Because it was, well, here's my trailer. Well, no, now I want to do this one too.
I decide. Yes, I did. And I decided to do one that wasn't a teaser. I was excited about the teaser, but I ended up doing the new Coen Brothers movie that apparently is coming day and date in select theaters and Netflix, at least in the U.S., and that is The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. This I was very excited when I saw this trailer. The cast is amazing. The tone is so very Coen's. It fits right into my expectation after we did the Coen series on this show. It has a lot of the things I really love about the Coens. James Franco, Liam Neeson, David Krumholtz. I love David Krumholtz. Clancy Brown, Brendan Gleeson, Zoe Kazan, Harry Melling, Stephen Root. Stephen Root. Is that Tom Waits is in this? What happened to Tom Waits? Well, he's in Coen Brothers movies. Tyne Daly is in this movie. Tim Blake Nelson, of course, as Buster Scruggs in the I don't know, annoyingly likable heroic character, I think. And Saul Rubinek.
Yes.
My sense is that as a ballad, this is an anthology movie because all of the credits, the character credits in IMDb, refer to the actors and the characters they play in their segments, right? So we have Saul Rubinek is in the segment The Mortal Remains. Buster Scruggs, Tim Blake Nelson, is in the segment The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. But we also have segments The Meal Ticket or Near Algodones or The Gal Who Got Rattled. And so we have all of these sort of chapters, which makes me feel, again, this is a very Coen sort of a feeling film. I got myself kind of worked up about it when I went over to IMDb and saw the 6-star IMDb rule. This movie just barely skates over the 6-star IMDb rule. It's a 6.3 right now off of very few votes. I mean, 220 people have seen this movie so far. I don't know where it initially premiered, I think Venice, and then New York and London over the course of this year so far. So, take that for what it's worth. But it is new Coen's. It has a great looking tone, Western, incredible cast. What'd you think?
I think it is very Coen-esque. I love that the tone of this is just so different from their other Westerns, but they're still going to say, Joel and Ethan Coen that brought you True Grit and No Country for Old Men, which are nothing like this tonally. This is they're back to the wacky, zany comedy.
Oh brother,
feel.
This is Oh Brother.
This is definitely Oh Brother. So I am concerned. I know they always deliver quality. I always enjoy their work. This apparently was originally going to be a 6-part series, and it got smushed down into a feature-length film. So I don't know if that was something that was the concept was originally these, anthology series, and then at some point along, production, hopefully not after filming, we didn't edit this down into a film, but somewhere through production, it was realized this is going to work best just as a feature film rather than 6 separate, episodes. But that does give me some concern when you make a big shift like that. This is going to be, a series. Maybe each episode was 20, 30 minutes. Now we're condensing it down, and we'll see. But I love the look of this. It's what I would expect from them.
It drops on Netflix on November 16th. So it's a strong candidate for birthday movie for me, but I usually like to hit the theaters. So it better be in a select theater near me. That's all I have to say. It better, Steve.
Select theater, it's going to be limited to New York and LA.
Why you got to bring me down like that?
Well, this just gives you a reason to take a birthday trip down to LA.
Noted. All right, I'll book tickets. What's yours?
What did I do? I did something. I had heard about this film, and it's one that I'm intrigued by. It's not something I would normally say, oh yeah, I'm so excited to see this. This is called Wildlife, and this is the story of a boy who witnesses his parents' marriage falling apart after his mother finds another man. So one of these, family, tales of drama and trials, and from the point of view of the son. But there's something about the look of this film that just completely drew me in. And then as I learned a little bit more about it, that this is the first film directed by actor Paul Dano, who we've talked about on, Film Board, on Prisoners. He's, There Will Be Blood. He co-wrote this, or I guess adapted this. It's based on a novel, but co-wrote this with his partner, Zoe Kazan. They are a real-life couple, and they both adapted this, and it is his first film starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Carey Mulligan, but it just looks gorgeous. He knows how to shoot a film, or he's found somebody that knows how to shoot a film with his guidance. This just looks beautiful. It is an interesting look at sort of mid 20th century life growing up and parents dealing with, the challenges of being a couple. I can't say why this is, of high interest to me, because there's nothing that stands out other than this looks like an amazing cast and looks beautiful. And that's all I needed to pick it this week, is something that I think will be probably overlooked in theaters. JJ, I'm seeding our future trailer rewind picks with this one because I have a feeling this is one. It looks like it should be Oscar, garnering Oscar attention. It's got a limited release October 19th, which gives me the idea that it's going to get limited release out there for the Oscar window, and it's going to disappear unless it really connects with audiences. And I don't know if this is the type of story that people are really hungry for right now. Maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia, but again, when you're dealing with, family drama and parents arguing and splitting up, to me, it's not the most compelling, going to draw an audience in by the thousands type of film, but we will see.
Well, predictably, it's, I agree with everything you just said, especially it's not really going to draw me to the theater to see it. I don't go to movies like this typically. I'll wait and see them, see them at home, where I can really let loose. Know what I'm saying? I
Yes.
just go crazy with all of the feels. And this is one of those movies that I immediately, like, you could just feel the tone wash over you that this is not a movie I'm going to go pay to see in the theater with other people. It makes me feel bad, and I don't like going to movies for that.
Yes.
So I will say, my goodness, Carey Mulligan, she brings her A game. Just in what you see in this trailer, this looks like it's a performance for the ages for her. So I look forward to seeing what she delivers here. When's it hit?
All right. October 19th.
October 19th.
Yes.
All right.
So just about a month away. We'll see. And then, like I said, in the spring, we'll probably pick it up on streaming for a trailer rewind.
With that, Steve, we have a list. Now,
Boy, do we have a list.
I checked last night, and it looked like we were at great final battles to go in line with our.
It was up by one, and then I thought, I haven't voted. Can I make my vote count and make this a tie? No, I'll just go with what the people want. I will go with final
what the
battles.
people want. Well, that's noble of you. That's big of you. Final battles. This goes in line with what we talked about last week, this week, which was Battle for the Planet of the Apes, the final in the Apes series that we have been moving our way through over the last month. I know there's a lot of relief out there for some folks who weren't huge Apes fans, but I had a good time with it. I was disappointed in the way this movie wrapped up. The big final battle was a bit of an anemic experience, and so we thought we would do a great list of final battle movies, or final battles in movies that really excite us. So, how did you approach this? You wanna take the lead?
Well, I tried at first to stick with, this is the culmination of this entire franchise and this big final battle. So I was trying to think about what is final battle in terms of just ending everything. There's nowhere else to go. We're finishing this off, and we're tying it up, and this is the big story that we're going to finish with this battle. And I just said no. It's too restrictive. So I thought, what are some that could be classified as like iconic final showdown type moments? So I was trying to dig around through those things. In my searching, I came across something long lost and forgotten, which is the cartoon, The Ultimate Showdown. I don't know if you remember that from about 10 years ago. And I said, that is the iconic battle that you need, the Ultimate Showdown. But I ended up just trying to think of some of my favorites of big battles that really stood out to me, or I just has a strong place in my memory, iconic, or if it was something I saw in the theater of just like, wow, this really, felt like a powerful moment. So I don't think there's going to be any steals on this list, because I'm all over the place, honestly, with this.
I thought I would end up all over the place, and I think what I ended up bringing is a trio of films that are totally predictable to what you would think of my favorite movies. So we'll see. Do you want to go ahead and start?
Sure. I will start. And I guess this one, I can say that it ties in with Final Battles because it has the word last in the title. So again, that there is nothing further than that. It's the last, right? There's no more to go. Well, possibly. And honestly, I wish there was more to the story, because I think there was great potential in this film from the mid 80s, The Last Starfighter.
Steve.
That's not a steal. That can't be a steal. That's not a steal.
No, it's not a steal. That was a sigh of honor. That's a great pick. It does have the last in it, and it has a place close to my heart. I can't get my kids to watch this movie though, Steve. It's not one that seems to hold up.
Oh no, we watched it. It was several years ago, and then what I think was that's an unexpected Easter egg is at the end when he's back sort of at the RV, place, and the ship comes down and he comes back for his girl to take her. One of the little kids there in the trailer park is actually Will Wheaton. And I think it was, I can't remember if it was Hannah. I remember it was like, is that Will Wheaton? Is that Wesley Crusher? What is he doing there? I'm like, no, that's
pre-abduction.
Yes, exactly. No, they, early, super early computer graphics.
Yeah.
Painful to watch, but still a great story of, the big confrontation of being the last left after the assault on the base, and he's out there, he's got the last ship, and he's got to face down the armada with his ship and with his, what is it, the Starflower or whatever, where the ship spins around shooting missiles. Just as a kid seeing that was like, yes, this is, for so many reasons, a great final battle.
Well, my first pick, my number 3 pick, has a different tone to yours, and this is, we'll keep in the vein of having something related to Sylvester Stallone in every list that I do right now.
Okay,
I'm talking about, and I didn't love this movie. But in terms of a final battle that actually shocked me at the level of gore and violence that they put on screen, I bring to you 2008's Rambo. This is John Rambo goes to, I think it's Thailand. He joins up with some mercenaries. They go into Burma to rescue some aid workers, and then he gets a hold of a .50 caliber gun. And the final battle consists of John Rambo absolutely turning the rebels into flesh ribbons. I mean, it is horrifyingly violent. It is, there are some things in the movie that are violent already leading up to that, but watching these bullets tear through these human creatures, these meat bags, is shocking and horrifying and super. And I thought, what if the apes had been able to do that? What if you had given Caesar a .50 caliber weapon? What would that have looked like? And so I offer this pick. It is a 7 on the IMDb star rule. The movie is not a terrible movie if you like these movies, but it doesn't live up to the original ones. This final battle is disgusting and lives up to the name or to the list of great, and I say great in quotes, depending on what you're after, great final battle sequences.
Well, it won't be the final Rambo.
No, he's coming back. Yeah,
he's coming back, which again brings me back to one of my favorite little nitpicky trivia issues I have with this entire franchise, and I think I've only ever seen First Blood, but the numbering of this whole franchise goes, Rambo. First Blood.
First Blood. Yeah.
Rambo, First Blood Part 2.
Right.
Then we go Rambo 3.
Yeah.
There's no Rambo 2.
There's no Rambo 2. I know.
So and now then what's even funnier is we go Rambo, First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, then Rambo, which
now we're going back.
Now we're going back, and the next one is Rambo 5. Right. So Rambo is going to be retitled Rambo 4, I guess. I don't know, but there's still no Rambo 2, but we have 2 Rambos. No Rambo 2. I guess we only do odd numbers.
And 2 First Bloods.
In this French. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, First Blood and First Blood Part 2. So at least they got that right. So there's Rambo, Rambo 3, Rambo, and Rambo 5. Apparently, the even numbers do not exist in the Rambo franchise.
If you're a purist, though, there are only 2 movies in this series, First Blood and First Blood Part 2.
Yes.
Then you should stop. You really should stop. Anyhow, what's your next pick?
Okay. My next pick. Going historical with this one because I think, there's something about when we go back in history and we have confrontations. I guess it's just more one-on-one confrontational final battles for me, rather than seas of armies, which can be done quite well. But there's something about 2 men facing off against each other that worked really well for me in 2000's Gladiator with Russell Crowe. And I remember seeing this in the theater, and this this final battle of Maximus, and he's, the odds are against him because he's basically been, stabbed. He's bleeding out, and he's got to, face down the Emperor. I won't say it's like the most dynamic fight choreography ever, but in the context of the movie, it just worked so well for me. One of these, you want to be cheering, but he wins, but he dies. And to make that work really well, because it could so easily become cliche of, it's the fight with the big bad, and we know how this is going to end. It put a twist on that of, it's possible for you to win the fight, but ultimately lose your life. And the way that was managed, I thought worked really well for the story, for the arc that his character was going to take. And so that's my second pick.
Wait, he dies? I really love that movie. I love that movie because the battles start big, and the final battle ends up being the mano a mano battle.
Yes.
You actually feel much more sort of emotionally connected to the smallest battle in the movie. That's a great pick. My next one is not mano a mano at all. It is the final ride sequence in Mad Max Fury Road. Mad Max Fury Road brought back everything that we ended up loving about the original movies, and more of it, with such a brilliant use of color and grit and just masses of practical stunts and explosions and all of the great things you want to see in a Mad Max movie, and they brought it back in spades in this final run of vehicles careening in and out of one another, and these storms. I mean, it was just mayhem on screen, and I adored every minute of it. Mad Max Fury Road. I need to watch this movie every couple of months. It calls to me.
You're breaking Andy Nelson's rule number 7 for lists, you realize.
I don't see Andy here. I don't see him. I don't see you. See him?
Okay.
I don't see him. He didn't show. He didn't show. You want to drop a rule, you got to show. You got to show to the game.
Okay. We don't do movies that you talked about on the show.
Yeah. I don't see Andy.
No, it's it's a great pick. No, I love this movie as well, and I am torn. What's coming next? Is there going to be another one? Do we need to wait as long between for a really quality sequel? I know there's a story out there. This thing seems stalled and delayed, and whether or not we're going to get another one, and I would love another one of this quality, but I also am cautiously pessimistic that
you're cautiously pessimistic.
Yes,
that's not how it works, man.
I know. I'm like, if they do another one, is it going to disappoint? Is it going to be like, that did not, that totally. So, but no, that's I think one of my, in the past few years, one of my favorite movie going experiences was seeing this. I went out to visit Mr. Nelson because they had the D box, the seats that are with motion controlled and synced with that, and this was the perfect movie for that. And that is one of my top sort of theater going experiences, as watching this insanity and being jostled
shaken about. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Great pick.
I've still never actually seen a movie in D box. I feel like that's missing in my life.
Well, you can also, just drop several $1,000s to get the rig installed in your house.
Yeah,
you
that's smart.
You can get the equipment, and they install it under your couch or whatever, and you have to download a code with the, it has all the motions programmed in. If you, I guess I would say, in
the spirit of smart financial decisions, that's aces,
yes.
Steve. Thanks for the recommendation.
Well, I think we just need to tell, Steven Smart's got his nice home theater out there. He needs to upgrade that to D-Box, and then maybe we can all fly out there and visit him for a special screening of something.
That's right. And our tickets to Scotland as a group would be cheaper.
Yes,
than his upgrades to his already upgraded home theater.
Exactly.
All right. What's your next one?
All right. Okay. Well, this is a film. This is one that I just always like to bring up because I want to make sure people get a chance to see this. It's an overlooked film. I'm going to large, epic, historic battles in this one. There's some great moments, and I think it's just a film that people need to see. And I think you will enjoy the final battle in Kingdom of Heaven, Ridley Scott's film with Orlando Bloom, where we've got the final showdown within the fort, where you've got the huge army surrounding, and Orlando Bloom with the Christians inside the fortress defending, and just a huge epic battle. You've got the big siege towers and they're getting toppled and thousands of people, just epic battle. May not be the greatest ever film, but to me, want to use this opportunity to promote a film that I think has been overlooked and people need to see the director's cut version.
I was waiting for you to drop that.
Yes.
Don't see the theatrical cut.
No.
Different movies.
Right. Oh, completely different movies. And so I think, I needed to have one big epic battle, large scale armies. And if I'm going to do that, I'm always going to bring this one out.
Well, I feel like we just picked movies that are a perfect pair for one another.
Okay.
Because of Orlando Bloom.
Oh, okay.
That's right. I am picking the final battle in Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. That is the battle at Helm's Deep.
Oh, yes.
And, we talk about the movie, about all of these movies, and as they get crazier into the Hobbit series, about the digital creatures throwing things at digital creatures. I did not get that feeling in this movie. I think it was incredibly well executed as a big special effects spectacle, and I was in it. I was in it intellectually and emotionally, and I thought they just did an exceptional job of showcasing this massive battle. It is not the last. I think it fails because it's not the last movie in the series, right? Final battle movies in a series. And I let myself off the hook a little bit, even though there are more Rambo and potentially Mad Max movies to come. I picked final battles there that, are final so far. It's all we've got today. Lord of the Rings, obviously, there's more final battling, but I just like Helm's Deep better than the final battles in the Return of the King, and so I'm gonna stick with it.
No, that's fine because rules.
Because he's not here.
We don't need rules.
We don't need Andy here to drop pedantic rules on us about what we can love.
No, this was one that it came across, and I said, but it's not the final, within this 3-film, arc. Mm-hmm. It's not the big battle, but it is, I think everyone will agree, this is the battle of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. This is the most memorable. It is the pinnacle of what was accomplished in terms of large scale combat and battles. And I think it just still holds up. What did we like? What is this, like 15, 16 years later?
Yeah. 2002,
still,
I think.
Yeah, exactly. It still just holds up so well, just so well. The choreography of everything, just how that was shot to keep you oriented when you're in just an epic battle and all the storylines going on. Now, Peter Jackson was at his peak with
I think Deep. So. The way they built intensity leading up to this particular battle, I think is unique in the series. Because there was a narrative direction that actually led to the battle that was beyond just armies clashing, you know, and I really appreciated that. I appreciated what they gave us in this, and I think it was unique potentially in the series of books too, right? I mean that, or in the I should say the book, too, and so it stands out for me. There you go, Battle of Helm's Deep.
That's the way to finish. Last week it was, what is the ultimate training montage? Here we got, this is the ultimate final battle.
There we go.
Even if it's not final, it doesn't matter. Andy, stop. I can see you rolling your eyes right now. Just stop. This is the biggest final battle. There we go.
Now I'm going to be Andy. No, you can do whatever you want in your rule set. I live by different rules. Andy, we missed you. If you would come back, we would be able to work this out. Next week, oh dear. The movie is Targets, and it kicks off our series of crime films of 1968. Have you ever seen Targets?
I have not, but I have to say I wasn't even aware this movie existed. But as I'm reading about it, I need to see this movie. I think this is something that there's so many forgotten films from certain decades where it's just you look at a specific year and you look at Best Picture and all these classics, and there's a lot of really quality films that sort of fall between the cracks, and for me this I think is one of them. I don't know anything about it, but
well, I regret that, because I feel like in order to talk about it for our list next week, we sort of
you got to spoil it.
Well, I mean, because I went in cold. I had never seen it. Andy had never seen it. Andy already knew what it was about. He'd read about it. I did not. I just turned it on absolutely cold and didn't know anything about it. It's it's pretty grim, but in terms of making a statement of the time that is held up for 50 years, this is a strong film. Comes from director Peter Bogdanovich, and it's a tough one. It is about a guy who, there are two stories that kind of run in parallel. One of them is a story of an aging horror actor played by Boris Karloff, who is an aging horror actor.
Okay.
And it's really this kind of wonderfully anodyne story about him trying to retire and trying to be, trying to just get out of the movie business and stop making these horror films because horror has changed for him. It's like, it's just kids aren't interested in the kind of monster movies I used to do, sort of a thing. The other story is a vet comes home and he's got a lovely wife, and it looks like they live with his parents, and it's just a nice sort of suburban lifestyle in the late 60s, and he ends up losing it and gets a lot of guns and goes out and kills a lot of people, and it's the movie tells a story of those things coming together. So okay. It was an incredibly powerful film for me, and so you look at you're spoiled by just looking at the plot keywords, right? I mean, I'm sure you've already.
I see. There's guns. I see lots of guns.
Yeah,
and dragging a dead body. So movies where a dead body is dragged.
Yeah, was thinking there's also dragging dead bodies.
Well, if you want to focus on if we have these two stories, then to me that makes sense.
We need something that represents each.
Yes, so I think you need something that represents each, and then something. I'll leave it to you for the third, because without perhaps spoiling or giving away too much, if you can find something in the middle. But I think maybe if we've got a story of an aging horror actor, I mean we could talk about maybe a generation feeling out of place, or different thinking about people that have become disillusioned with their careers.
Oh, okay. All right. There's a wide open field there.
There you go.
Okay. Career disillusionment.
And then I guess you've got the whole, maybe it's, post, war PTSD type of, or coming home stories, military coming home stories. There's plenty of those as well, I think.
That's good.
And then in the middle,
patricide.
Dragging dead bodies, damsel in distress. Oh, cigarette smoking. We don't see enough of that. That would be challenging.
Oh, geez. I was thinking about movies that are where the climax is set at a drive-in movie theater.
Oh, okay.
Drive-in movies. Drive-in movies in movies.
Drive-in movies in movies. Oh, movies with movies within a movie. People going to see a movie in a movie.
Movies in a movie. Okay.
Movies in a movie. I don't know if because that actually ties into the horror, actor storyline. So you've got movies and then things happening at a drive-in. So movies where there's, a movie that's in there. And I guess it would have to be.
But you're saying it doesn't necessarily have to be in a drive-in movie.
No, it has to be something more significant than somebody walked past the TV that happens to have some, a movie on it. I mean, it should be a little bit more integrated into the plot or character pieces a little.
Oh, I got it. I think that's great. I think there are some great opportunities for that. So we'll get let's do career dissolution movies, and post-war coming home stories, and movies in movies.
There we go. Movies and movies.
movies. That's well, I have my pick already in mind.
Okay.
So there you go. Good list.
Now, you're going to bring the Woody Allen to this list? You might be able to bring the Woody Allen to this list if you think about it.
I don't know. Is there a Triple Crown? If I come up with one movie that has all three of these in it, does that mean I only just get to pick one movie and I win?
Okay, throw down the gauntlet. Go ahead. Say, take that, Andy. You and your rules. I'm going to break them all. My pick is one thing.
It's just Woody Allen.
There you go.
All right. Well, good pick. Thank you, Steve. Pleasure to talk to you this fine Saturday morning.
And I will talk to you later this Saturday evening because we've got a film board, and hopefully we'll have some listeners popping in for some pre-show discussion, because I always enjoy interacting with our listeners and hearing their perspective on things. So I'm really hoping we get some people to turn out for this, because I think this one will have some interesting discussion about what happens with the Predator.
We kick off that conversation at 7:30 U.S. Pacific time. For our international listeners, kick up the Google machine. I don't have it on the top of my head, but 7:30 p.m. U.S. Pacific. That is today, Saturday. So hope to talk to you guys later. 7:30. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Steve. Bye.
Hundo.